Don't get me wrong.
I said to her, so you know how those lids are, because this is, well, I'm just going to speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on those Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of, and so I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid?
Julian.
I'm not saying she's drunk, but if you told me I could bet money and win more money, I might bet money.
I think I've noticed a lot in Denver, Colorado. Is there a lot of cars being driven around with no license plates? Isn't it kind of weird that people can come into our country, get a car, drive without being registered, but if you and I drove, even a week without registering our car would get a ticket?
This makes me think, if I had an insurance company and I know a lot of other people are driving around without insurance, might I raise the insurance because I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future? I mean, people forget, if the other person doesn't have an insurance, there is no negotiation to pay that thing. Your insurance might have to pay everything, and then they might be like, I don't want to pay for you anymore. It happens sometimes.
Today, the Gomez family officially welcomed friends to their new home in North Austin.
Sí, es mi sueño.
Gabriel Gomez tells us it's his dream. This is what he wanted for his children. It is the first home for this family of four, and it is the first time they have lived in anything bigger than one bedroom for 8 years.
¿Cuál es la reacción? Nosotros estamos muy felices.
Eyuveles Rengel says they are very happy, and this is an important step for their family. Originally from Venezuela, they worked and worked in food service as an auto mechanic, delivering food, factory work. When they first arrived in Chicago in 2022 as new arrivals, they landed at Grace and Peace Church. This home is the first of 4 distressed West Side homes the church bought, rehabbed, and sold.
We met them at the bus and they were so distressed and worked through a whole process with them. And now they're stabilizing their own home. It's awesome.
With all of their savings, programs to assist first-time homebuyers, and an individual taxpayer identification number, the Gomez family made their dreams come true.
Realmente ahorita estamos viendo nuestro sueño americano.
Rengel says, really now is the American dream. Grace and Peace Church plans to sell their other rehabbed homes to other first-time homebuyers, homebuyers of color on the West Side, to hopefully improve the lives of their families and their community.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy they have people that support them, they have place to stay, or maybe a church to help them out. But I also know when people talk about people of color, I don't think a lot of times they mean black people, and I think the government also agrees with them, because I'm surprised the government ain't helping black people in Chicago. I'm like, bro, where are the videos of the black people that you might have helped that always voted for you?
Help us. Help us.
Kevin, how do you feel about the current migration crisis here in New York specifically?
In New York, because I'm from New York, the current vibrations is that we are putting too much money into illegal aliens coming in here, all right? Too much money while we have the mentally ill that's here, the veterans that are here, and there's no type of programs that's good for them. Now they just allocated $5 billion.
And you're a New York taxpayer.
I'm a New York City taxpayer.
How do you feel about that?
You know, we getting taxed as Americans everywhere you looked at, all right? But I don't feel that we should be going towards that. Then with the laws that they implement, you can't even deport them back no more.
Why am I such a loser? Why?
So they flooded all these immigrants in here. You can't send them back. They ripping and they're robbing, stealing. You know, they trying to survive, but the ripping I don't like. Well, the way I feel, you know, you have to come in the right way, like every other. And what they're doing is basically, to me, it's a sham. It's shamming all the New York taxpayers. They shamming everything.
The current migration crisis, well,
Go get him, Tiger.
it's suffocating the regular residents that's here. They're suffocating us.
How so?
Especially with the services. We need services, mothers, fathers. There's a lot of homelessness going on.
Yeah.
Who knows how many of these people were evaluated? We got a lot of mental health going on out here. You know, everybody here is like a couple of paychecks away from being homeless, and all the homeless shelters are crowded. And they're causing ruckus. They just beat up cops.
How do you feel today? It was just announced that over $5 billion the last 2 years from New York taxpayers was gone for the homeless.
We were hearing...
Not homeless, I mean the migration.
We thought it was a joke until we realized, yes, I heard they got a green card, they got a debit card and everything. Like, we didn't get none of that. The regular residents that live here needs that. We didn't get any of that. As a New Yorker, it makes you angry, but then you still have to push on. Life goes on. You still have to do what you have to do because New York moves so fast. So you still have to go to work and just grit your teeth and bear it, you know, so to speak, you know?
Taxman's coming. I don't know when, but I got to be ready.
New York?
Yes, I am.
All right, what are your thoughts on the current situation?
Honestly, I think it's interesting because I pay a lot of money to be in this city. I'm barely holding afloat, to be honest, with my waitressing job, and the money is giving the city to the hotel, which, well, I mean, they're housing a bunch of illegal immigrants, so...
Yeah, so it seems like you're very frustrated, I'd sense.
I'm annoyed, to be honest.
Yeah. Dang, and how long you been here in New York?
2 years.
Dang, and it's just becoming impossible to live here.
Honestly. Everything's so expensive.
Why you pulling me? I'm right.
Personally, I kind of think it's too late because some people are getting too rich. What do I mean by that? Well, the hotels right now have consistently clients because they put all the migrants over there because the government is paying for everything.
I'm rich! I'm wealthy!
If they have to depend on tourists, the locals, it's not always filled because they don't have enough money to pay for it.
Help me, I'm poor.
And maybe the hotels are even, yeah, send them more. We're gonna raise the prices, but send them more. I got the space. So most people are going to do their best to keep voting blue. And if the locals don't see that, it will never stop.
You don't hang no signs about black people hating on immigrants, because black people ain't got no reason to hate on no immigrants.
Oh no, but the immigrants got
we
no reason to
everything
hate on
y'all
us.
are in there, son. Let me tell you something. You get them signs down. Anytime that ordinary Lawson and Silverstein and what's that other?
Cesar
They sit up
Lopez.
here and talk
Lopez.
about how they should get a hate crime bill because swastikas was in Ziploc bags in that community. They hung this in our community. We want it off the poles. We want that to be the beginning of a hate crime.
Never do something like that.
No, not us. You have offended us.
And that organization, which is a white liberal organization, like in the words of Malcolm X, who told us what? That the white liberal is the worst enemy to the black man.
Yes.
That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling and you take him for a friend.
And in here, coming up in here, acting like y'all representing some social justice.
Say that,
but all along,
Say
all
that.
you're doing is trying to use black people
Say
to
that.
find a reason to make some money.
Say
Let
that.
me tell y'all something over there. We're done. The Democratic Party is done. You ain't gonna mess with us like
Y'all
this
gonna
no
abuse
more.
us.
So I'm telling you what I'm
They
telling
get to
you.
abuse the black
Trump
American.
gonna come in here and gonna clean it up. I'm telling you, the ones that have a righteous heart, you leave the Democratic Party. Do just like RFK Jr., just do like that Tulsa lady. You better get up out the Democratic Party. Save yourself, save your families, save your dignity, save your jobs, and save your seat. Because if y'all don't, we coming for your seats. We ain't taking this no more.
I can excuse racism, but I draw the line at animal cruelty.
We ain't taking no disrespect from a bunch of people who have broke into the country and now have completely broke the city, have completely broke the country, have completely disgraced the United States of America. America is a disgrace. And for the solution, you give us a fake, black, cackling hand of a candidate. With a vice president that's talking about he want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Ain't nobody doing this. The number one function of a president is to be the commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that look like she can protect this country after y'all just sat up here and let it get it overridden with a bunch of illegal immigrants. Y'all just sat up here and put America's hands in all kind of wars. And you telling me a TACON man that ran from duty don't even know what his rule was. Kamala Harris, who don't know what race she is, gonna protect this country? The devil is a lie. Y'all better get them signs down. Yeah.
Any same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
I know that.
Well, maybe there is hope. My bad, ladies and gentlemen and black people. I guess we still have them energy. There's some people that see the things that I see with one eye, and they got two. So I guess they might see more, and I hope it works.
Cannot seem to grasp the fact that the party that they believed in is now doing the inverse of everything they signed up for.
Exactly.
Because the New York Times rephrases everything so it seems like the values are still there.
Black power!
And if you're not a New York Times reader, you can barely figure out what these people are talking about.
Did you see the article that I posted on my Instagram that's a title of a New York Times article for today?
Which one?
Jamie, pull this up. I want Brett to see this so you know this is real. This is an actual New York Times article. The Constitution is sacred. Is it also dangerous?
Right.
One of the biggest threats to American politics might be the country's founding document. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
One of the biggest threats to America's politics might be one of the greatest documents that any country was ever founded on, if not the greatest ever.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a threat to America's politics. What politics are we talking about? Like how could you possibly gaslight me enough to go along with you on this?
I'm blind! I'm blind!
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's on the one hand completely predictable, right?
Right.
Because there's obviously an authoritarian force there that just grinds its teeth at night over the Constitution and the fact that it prevents it from doing things that it just wants to do last week, you know?
Let us investigate.
The United States Constitution is the world's longest surviving written charter of government. Its first 3 words, we the people, affirm that the government of the United States exists to serve its citizen. Serve its citizen.
Money. Stop it, you mean old potato.
So instead of serving its citizen, that's a danger? You're just telling me the government decides the world fate of every freaking body. That's communism, you freaking idiots.
Nope, stop talking, go to jail.
I support late-term abortion.
Do you know how it's carried out?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter because you're ending a life.
It's not a life.
When does it become a life?
When it is born.
So it's born, that what's in the air, is it magic fairy dust that makes it a person?
Oh, I've changed my mind. It's actually when the child can survive without the mother, without the mother's help. So once the umbilical cord is cut and once the child is breathing on its own. Do you remember being in the womb?
I don't remember breathing and getting my umbilical cord cut.
You're probably, I don't know, I think you're on some crazy shit. Oh,
I'm not the one advocating for genocide.
I don't think abortion is a genocide, and I think that's incredibly belittling to actual genocides.
So 1 million babies are terminated every year in this country. How is that not a genocide?
Well, they're not babies, they're fetuses. That's an important thing to remember.
What do you think about communism? Do you like communism?
Yes.
Okay, well then there we go. How do you think communists feel when you sit there and talk about how great that ideology is when 120 million people were killed under it?
I think that wasn't actually communism.
Of course it wasn't. And terminating babies isn't actually terminating babies.
I'm quite sure she might read New York Times, but that's a different story. But you need to think about it. They speak in a way that only they understand how they speak, and when you don't speak like them, they realize, oh, you don't speak like me. I bet you're a right-winger.
As a minority, can we align with a group that's also a minority upon misguidance, right, to help our own cause? Is that what you're asking?
Or even go further one step, to say campaign for the other minorities' right to do what they're doing, Because in doing so, it'll protect our right to wear a hijab or...
Because obviously, just to put some context to that, is minorities, when they discuss issues and they come together, minorities usually stick together, right, against the majority. So what normally happens is that you have one minority cause, another minority cause, another minority cause. They end up usually going to the left. And when you do that, you have to be more accepting. You have to be willing to respect each other's differences and
whose
work
framework
together.
and guidelines? Because if you're a Muslim, right, your group has its own framework and guidelines. So we always, I'll say it to you as it is. The question that came in, I have a moral dilemma, right? With the statement that I respect your right to do that act.
So like
how can I respect someone's right to do that act when I believe in one Allah who forbids that act?
In all honesty, I don't even have to say anything. They are so confident these days that the commentary is done by itself. Like I said, it's like watching Netflix, and I'm surprised that I'm the only one reviewing the Netflix.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde kush hash purple skunk criollo colombici jam jam. Durlo que ta verdetta welcome.